The airport was buzzing with its usual rhythm, rolling suitcases, hurried footsteps, and the occasional disembodied echo of an intercom announcement. Mount. But nothing about today was ordinary for Officer Jenna Morales or for Rex, her trusted and very loyal K-9 partner. It had all begun like any other routine shift, until Rex froze right in front of a luxury black leather duffel bag. His ears perked up, his powerful muscles tensed, and his sharp, intelligent nose began to twitch wildly. The man who was standing near the bag, a man who was sharply dressed in a black and very expensive-looking suit, looked calm. To calm, Jenna stepped forward, her own heart now pounding a new and very anxious rhythm in her chest. Before he could say another word, Rex let out a single, sharp, and very definitive bark. Jenna had seen this exact same behavior only once before, during a major and very dangerous drug bust. But what happened next would not just stun the entire, and now very silent, terminal. It would touch the hearts of millions. 2 hours earlier, Jenna had started her morning with a quiet and very personal prayer, and a quick and very necessary stop for a strong black coffee. Life for her hadn't been easy lately. Her mother had just, and with a great and very real and very quiet courage, finished her last round of a chemo. And her younger brother, a young man who had once been so full of a life and of a laughter, was now struggling with a deep and very silent case of a PTSD after his last deployment. Some days, her only real source of a peace was her work with Rex, a beautiful and very gentle rescue dog who had been so expertly trained for a drug and explosives detection. Rex had, over the years, become her partner, her protector, and her silent, four-legged therapist, all rolled into one. As she had clipped on her own, very heavy badge in Rex's simple, leather harness that morning, she had had no idea that this one, single, solitary day would become the most unforgettable and the most beautiful day of her entire career. The man in the black suit, David Rosen, was a corporate executive who was just returning from a long and very grueling business trip overseas. He was a quiet, reserved man in his late 40s, a man who kept mostly to himself. But beneath his polished and very expensive exterior, a very different and very private storm was raging. His daughter, his beautiful and very precious 7-year-old daughter Lily, had recently been diagnosed with a rare and very aggressive heart condition. Time for them was running out. And after waiting for over a long and very agonizing year, they had just, and at the very last possible moment, found a donor. He was now transporting the life-saving and very experimental medication and the critical and very time-sensitive documents for Lily's emergency. In very high-stakes surgery, a surgery that was scheduled for that very evening. Every single solitary second counted, but David... David was not the one who had packed the bag. Back in the present, Jenna asked David to open the bag, and he hesitated. Jenna's own heart softened. "I understand, sir," she said, "but my dog is trained to detect danger. There is nothing to hide. We will clear this up immediately." David sighed, a long and very weary and very defeated sound. And with hands that were now visibly trembling, he unzipped the bag. Inside were a series of illegal-looking papers, a collection of medical syringes in cold, sterile packs, and something that was wrapped in a soft and very dark velvet. Jenna reached in carefully, and she uncovered a sealed and very clinical-looking container, and her own heart sank. The label on the container was for an unfamiliar and very complex-sounding substance, a substance that was listed in a series of complicated and very intimidating chemical terms. Jenna stepped back. "I need to call this in," she said, while the airport security had locked down the terminal. David's own very fragile world began to crumble. He tried to explain, to plead, but the protocol, the rigid and very unforgiving protocol, demanded a full and very lengthy verification. Every single solitary minute was a lifetime. He watched the large and very indifferent clock on the terminal wall, knowing that his own beloved daughter might not survive if he didn't get home in time. Jenna, who was now torn between her own very professional duty and the very real and very human pain in David's eyes, worked tirelessly to escalate the case. She contacted the medical experts, the FDA officials, even her own very surprised captain, anyone, absolutely anyone, who could possibly fast-track the investigation. Meanwhile, Rex sat by the bag unusually and very visibly restless. He nudged Jenna's hand, he barked twice, and then hid something that was completely and utterly out of his very strict and very professional training. He walked over to David, the stranger, the potential suspect, and the dog, who had never, not once in his entire career, allowed a stranger to come close. Placed his own large head so gently on David's knee. A quiet and very powerful and very beautiful moment. It wasn't danger that Rex had sensed, it was urgency, it was emotion, it was a desperation. Just when all hope was beginning to fade, the terminal phone rang. It was the FDA. The medication was real. The contents were legal, they were experimental, and they were very, very highly controlled. But they had been cleared for transport under a special and very rare emergency protocol. David was released immediately, but his flight was gone. And then something extraordinary and very beautiful happened. Jenna called her captain back, and she explained everything. And with a swift and very miraculous coordination, and with some kind of a miracle-level string pulling, the airport arranged for a direct and very immediate emergency escort flight. It was not a commercial flight. It was a government-backed, private flight. 1 seat, 1 man, and 1 very important mission. David had arrived at the hospital just 11 short minutes before the surgery was scheduled to begin. The moment he had walked into his daughter's room, Lily's own small face had lit up. "You came," she had whispered. "Always," he had said, as he kissed her forehead. She had survived the surgery. Today, Lily plays soccer, she rides horses, and she volunteers every single weekend at the local animal shelter. Her heart, which had once been so weak, so failing, now beats stronger than it ever has before. And Rex, he received a Medal of Honor for his service. But more than that, so much. More than Anne, he became a part of David's family. A year later, at a special ceremony, Jenna and Rex and David and little Lily all stood together in front of a large and very happy crowd. If this story has moved you, please leave a comment below. Tell us your own personal thoughts, or share a time in your own life when a simple and very beautiful act of a kindness changed everything. We read every single message, and they mean the world to us. And if you believe in the profound power of compassion, of courage, and of doing what is right, even when it is hard, please subscribe to our channel, Beacon of Hope Stories, and be kind. Always.